Hi, everyone. Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. This week is kind of a little bit different. During my conversations last week and early this week with my clients, kind of a few coaching calls that I had that had a similar story to them, similar angles as to what had happened, what had taken place, how that contact became a closed opportunity, and some things that they learned from the process, some things that they learned about themselves. And it reminded me of a life-changing event that I had, and kind of sat down to do this blog post this week, and I kept running it through my head, and I decided, and I don't often do this, but I wanted to share, the personal lineage of this story. And I titled it The Power of Persistence, but it could be just how certain events strung together in life that were, you don't see at the time, and then you look back and realize how incredibly life-changing they were, not only for you but for others. So I just wanted to share the story, and I know it's not what I normally do, but hopefully you'll take something out of this and find it useful. But there was a time many years ago that I was in a very bad place. A lot of personal challenges, issues, tragedies had taken place, and I was really at a spot where, I guess we all get to places like that where we're not sure where life is taking us, and how exactly to approach it. And a really close friend of mine convinced me to go to a convention out in San Francisco. um, and I really didn't want to go. I didn't see the need to go. I wasn't motivated to go. I didn't feel like going, but with all the struggles that were going on, and with the constant urging of my friend, I decided that, let's get on the plane, let's go, let's see what happens. And to be honest with you, that trip quite possibly saved my life, and saved what became my life, and changed it forever. And that story is largely based around the fact that, doing something that you really didn't want to do, didn't see 100% of the value in, but with some help, with some guidance, you took a chance, you went down that path, and it was rewarding on a level that you're never going to really be able to explain. Because at that convention there was a speaker, and his name was Les Brown. I knew of Les before, but I had never heard him speak in public. And believe me, uh, the expression being in the right place at the right time, listening to the right person, delivering the right message, can certainly be transformative. And after he was done with his presentation, I was literally sitting there you know, in tears next to the friend that had asked me to go, who knew what I was going through. And, we kind of just sat there and, thought about what had been said. And as happens in these things, Les went into the back and he was signing books, and his team was selling all sorts of, different items. And well, we sat there and we waited until the line had dwindled, and walked to the back, and I picked up all the books that Les had. And I waited until he was done with everybody else in front of us, and I placed the books on the table in front of him, began to share my story about what was going on in my life, and how moved I was with what his presentation was about, how he shared his story, how it impacted his life. And I think the words that he shared on more than one occasion, if you can look up, you can get up, kept resonating in my head. And it reminded me over and over again, when you get knocked down, you get pushed back. It's really up to you to get up and continue to take those steps forward. Now, I shared this because A, it was a life-changing experience for me. B, I realized that no matter where you are, um, it, there are things that you can do if you keep pushing yourself forward, if you keep driving toward what it is that you want to have happen. It may not happen in the time frame that you thought, but as I just keeps going in my mind, the game's not over till I win, right? If I don't stop playing, if I don't stop fighting, if I don't keep moving forward, um, as long as I keep doing those things, there is no end to the potential outcome, and the outcome is what it is that we're all driving for. And I shared this because a couple of my clients this week shared stories of clients that they worked with, and we've all had these clients, the ones that not are show up on Friday and in contract by Monday and close 3 weeks later, but the ones that hang around for months and potentially years. People that have come to you and did not have ideal circumstances, or how to work on a number of things, or how to look for a certain type of house in a certain market in a certain price range, all these different things. Other clients sitting there with clients that he's worked with for 9 or 10 months and made 9 different offers and got outbid and all these other things. And all you can do in those, and what I've tried to do when I work with these people, is put them in the best possible position to win, and that's all they can do, understanding what they're up against and realize that sooner or later, if you keep driving forward, if you keep doing the right things, the result is going to be what you need it to be. And it became very evident this week. And again, it was just a series of houses, but people who had been looking, in one case, like I said, for about 8 or 9 months, the other case for over a year, where people were looking, and they both shared stories of how they went to those closings this week, and how they look back at that time and said, it didn't matter. It didn't matter that it took 9 months or a year for them to get a house. Today, whether they were in contract, they only looked for 30 days or they looked for 30 months. The reality of it was, at this place, at this time, those deals were closed. They got their house, and what was going to be the rest of their lives moving forward had one more major accomplishment in it, which was finding the house that they were going to base themselves out of. And that's a really big deal. And that's why I wanted to share this today. It at some point in my life, I was struggling mightily and was unclear about what really, how to go about getting what I wanted to get done, if I really wanted to get done what I wanted to get done. And somebody saw that in me and guided me to, go to an event where somebody that I saw speak resonated in a way, who shared a message in a way that made sense to me, that helped me understand that I just had to keep moving forward, that there was really no other choice, other than to keep trying, because sooner or later it was going to happen. And again, right place, right time, right situation, right message, right person delivering that message. And here I had these clients, and we talk about this is, if not for, me seeing that and then developing my whole coaching business about consistency, about being persistent, about understanding it's repetition of the process. If the process is sound, the math will work out in your favor over the long haul. If you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, you'll eventually come to the right answers. And that made itself very apparent to me this week. If I didn't have that experience with Les Brown, then I couldn't have shared that experience with my clients. If I didn't share that experience with my clients, there were a couple of families in this last week who closed on houses with life-changing events, who really had to work hard to make that happen, and might not have realized the American dream, that home, that ability to get that piece of the world that they owned would have never happened. And so you think of the impact, the butterfly effect, if you will, of something happens over here and it trickles down later, months, years, decades, even into a result. And again, it was about 30 years ago that I went to the event, and it changed my life. It changed my path. It changed what I was going to do with myself, or what I thought was important. Those messages stay with me and my clients. My clients share those words with other people, and we have outcomes. So again, I know this was long-winded, and I know it was much more personal to me, but it impacts what we do in the future. It matters that you do it. It matters that you put a path in front of your clients. It matters that you understand that some of the clients that we work with are going to be more challenging than others. They're going to take longer. But to me, those are the things that I remember. It's not the person who came to me with a contract in their hand and was very uneventful, and 25 days later we closed. It's the people who did have challenges, struggles, took the time that we had to go through, and potentially some of the setbacks along the way that make this job unlike many other jobs that you can have, is because I look at this and say, if not for a friend convincing me to go to an event, if not for Les Brown living his life and sharing his words and being kind and sympathetic to me and empathetic to me, and without the books that he had written that I had decided to buy and to read and to go through and then to share and to live, those clients of mine wouldn't have had that information or that path. And then those people, and that's how I look at this every day, whether I realize it or not. There are people that are closing on homes, and some of those people may not have ever gotten a house if it wasn't for my clients who were dedicated to the principles that I have shared, that were put in place by a friend that cared enough about me to point me in that direction, a man who was compassionate enough and lived enough and able to share and speak in a way that it resonated with another man who then shared that word to have outcomes that continue to this day. So I want you to think about that. I want you to look at what we do and understand, the words that Les Brown shared. If you can look up, you can get up. The game's not over until I win. That philosophy of understanding, if you're challenged in a situation where these are people that have a chance of making it happen, you've got to help them in every conceivable way and be on their side and guide them to the outcome, no matter how frustrating it gets. Because ultimately, once they get that house, it was all worth it. You don't think about the struggle to get here. You think about winning. You think about getting that house. You think about that family. And to me, there's nothing greater about what we do than that. As always, if you have questions or comments, it's Mike at imtcoaching.com. We'll talk to you again next week. Take care.